Does it exist? Is it a being? Is it a human being? What is it?
Peace, family, peace. Brother Cash has put together an excellent presentation. And I was basically going to follow up with some images that I had to add on to what he was saying to basically show the people that we are all under spells. You understand? The spells that we are under has come through our music. First and foremost, has come through our entertainment, but it has mostly come through our music. Why do I say that? Because the music that our parents used to listen to, the music that we were raised up on, dealt with a certain kind of vibration, a certain kind of love. The soul music, the R&B music, all of the music where we had people telling us that they loved us. You understand? We had performers who came out there and they spoke from their hearts. They didn't speak from their lower nature. You understand? What happened to our music is it got hijacked by people who did not have our best interest at hand. What I was going to show is, in the late 70s, you had a trend of heavy metal, death metal, black metal, all of these metals, all of these different kind of rock and rolls. And this was the dominant music for them, on their side. But what happened was when hip hop came about and formed out of I would like to say, the battle-torn streets of the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx in '75. I don't remember much, but I remember it was a dark place. People talk about it's dark out here these days. No, it ain't. It was dark back then. You understand? But it was another, it's funny because it was dark back then, but there was also another kind of energy that existed back then that was community. You still felt the love out there. The insects were out there, the butterflies and the ladybugs and all of that stuff. It was a certain kind of energy. When these brothers came out of the Bronx and created something out of nothing and brought it into this industry, they were greeted at the door by these people who were the gatekeepers of the industry, who previously were dealing with this kind of music. You understand? So the creators of the music didn't have that much control on the music. They were able to create the music, but they weren't able to distribute the music. They weren't able to master the music, and they weren't able to put the music together and put it amongst the people. The people who were able to do that did not have our best interest at hand. One of the people who I was going to show on the clip was everybody, they hear about this guy. When you saw the presentation for VH1 Honors, they honored a man called Rick Rubin. Now, Rick Rubin he got into the game through the Zulu Nation. Jazzy Jeff was a DJ, and they created Def Jam. A lot of people think that him and Russell Simmons were the ones that created it. That's not true. It was him and the brother Jazzy Jeff. You don't see him anymore. You got to ask yourself why. Jazzy J. Russell Simmons actually came in later on and pushed him out of the way, and then they went ahead and formed what you know now as today as Def Jam and whatnot. But when you look at the discography of Mr. Rick Rubin, and when you look at who he was dealing with prior to the hip-hop thing, it was all dealing with death metal, what we would term today as Satan music. You understand? These people that are in corporate America right now, these people that are running the world, these are the children that listen to this kind of music. I have a clip where there was an insider into the game, into the music game, a guy by the name of Todd, a Caucasian man by the name, I forgot his last name, James Todd. He did a clip, and you could write that down because he's on YouTube. The clips that he put out is on YouTube, where he was revealing the satanic principles that were going on behind the scenes that they were doing with the masters. Now, back in the days, the masters were huge. They're very small now. They're probably on like a USB disc. But back in the days, the masters, the same way that you had the reels, the movie reels, which were very large and whatnot, they would take the masters into a room, ritualistically, full moons, witches, warlocks. This is not fantasy. This is not Dungeons and Dragons talk. This is the stuff that's destroying us. This is called black magic. You understand? What you see going on right now, the reason why they have such a problem with Haiti is because they were dealing with a certain kind of magic that these people have been at war with from time immemorial. When we do our history on the battles that were taking place with the Crusades and whatnot, these were magical and spiritual wars between Sufi Islam versus the Islam that versus the magic that the Vatican was bringing. And then with all of these lodges and whatnot, this is magic that they brought out of Egypt when they began excavating in the 1800s and things like that. And it's real. So what they would do is they would go into these rooms and perform these rituals over the masters. Now, this is prior to the digital age. We're dealing with wax. You understand? We're dealing with these reels and whatnot. So they were able to capture these entities and these spirits and whatnot. And here it is, the masters have all of these entities inside of them. So whenever everything that they pressed up, from the tape recorder to the 12-inch record to the 45 and everything, had these entities inside of them. So when they gave it to the masses and we listened to it, this is what we were beginning, this is when these things were beginning to take us over. Simultaneously, the heroin epidemic was taking place, the cocaine epidemic, all of these drugs, all of these substances, which when we become under the influence of these substances, it opens up certain chakras, it opens up certain doorways, and these entities are allowed to enter and take over and influence. So we have a whole generation of people who began possessed by the music that they were listening to, unbeknownst to them. That's why my generation is gone. You understand? That's why I'm one of the last survivors of the people that I grew up with. They all dead. You understand? The 90s, the 80s, those were terrible. I have still not recovered from that period of being 11 years old, 12 years old, waking up to 3 of my friends being killed the night before, coming home with blood on my clothes, crying to my parents, going to sleep with guns under my bed because when I go to sleep, all I hear is gunshots outside. You understand? Nobody wants to talk about that anymore, but that's something that happened, and that was due to the culture. The culture trained us to be like this. And yeah, and it dealt with a lot of self-hate. And I also want to talk about that because one of the other spells that we were put under was when our parents put us in school. And that old Jewish lady said, you know what? You're an African, and you come from people who never contributed anything to society. You don't have nothing to be proud about. You understand? Because your people were slaves. And the good old Christians got on these 3 ships and went over there and shook the trees. And the people fell out of the trees, these savages and cannibals. And we were justified by making them Christians. And we put them on this boat and brought them over here. And here, you know, and you need to thank us for that. This was the spell that they put on us.
Spell, man. It's bullshit.
Yeah, and I had to realize later on that it was bullshit. But this is what our children are still being susceptible to this day. That's why they come home and they might leave the house feeling proud and full of love, and they look at you like you worth something, and they look at themselves like they worth their weight in gold, and they come home feeling defeated. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta break these curses. We are still letting this shit perpetuate itself right now. The Lil Waynes, the Gucci Mans, all of these dudes are still selling cocaine. It's 2010. We allow, everybody's running around talking about Jay-Z with his Masonic connections, and they so damn baffled. How could this happen? Jay-Z was selling crack for 13 years. All wax. People in my generation was going to follow his footsteps and getting their heads blown off. You understand? Coming home in boxes without a head. And their mothers had to identify them by their toes and whatnot, birthmarks. They were following this man and all of the other people that were allowed to get on wax and do whatever they wanted to do and say whatever they wanted to say. Now people want to raise a fuss because he's in some damn white organization. They think he down with some damn Masonic organization. What does that mean? But they didn't say anything when he was on wax doing what he did all of these other years. That wasn't a problem because we don't have any self-worth. We don't see ourselves as who we truly are. We have to wake up. We got to get into our history. The brothers, the Moors that are coming along with the information to bring about the hidden information. Brothers like Black Dot who've been out here for damn near a decade putting out this pertinent information. We gotta get, it doesn't matter about what he came out with last week. Get his old work, because his old work is talking about what's going on right now. The brother Ben Bada has a table full of information that'll free your mind. The only thing that's gonna get us really out of this is the information, the knowledge, the power. And with that, I bid y'all peace.
Hey, hey, hey.
Let's give it up for the Red Pill.